And looking ahead towards this next fight, there's the EMP setup and the barrage coming in. And looking ahead towards this next fight, there's the EMP setup and the barrage coming in.
Ooh, that's huge! Triple, quadruple kill coming out from Xerox. Make that a team kill for AYAYA. I was
counterplay available. There's quite a few ults. I think it's going to be the Q1 with the bomb initiation.
Oh, the sleep dart coming in on Pichu. Gets the double kill. Brim in the back line gets the triple with the Deadeye quadruple kill. Cleaning up the objective. They thought they were safe, but they were far from it. The only one left on the objective is base boost continuing to come online. Overtime ticking away. The Diva Bomb ends up coming out, ends up grabbing Obi-Wan as Primos falling up on Red Hoodie. The Blizzard ends up coming down, and AYAYA 100-0 on the final map of the tiebreaker match will end up taking the semifinals from second place Salt and moving on to the finals against Eclipse. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing match here at the Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims as we start finals week. And no, it's not those sucky ones that you have to deal with in college or high school. It's going to be an amazing one as we start off in the Blackwatch division. We have got Eclipse versus AYAYA, first seed versus third seed, top dog versus underdog, going into our match tonight. I am your play-by-play for the evening, Captain Jack, joined by Megalas on the color this evening. How you doing tonight, Megalas?
I'm doing just fine as always. Just kind of really excited for what these teams are going to bring to the table because this is where you got to do it all. This is it.
Mm-hmm. This is for all the marbles. The regular season literally has no bearing on how tonight goes, which is almost weird when you think about it, to be completely honest. Because we saw that last week. We saw second seed. We saw the second seed Salt end up falling to AYAYA in the last map, in the tiebreaker map that they went through. So literally all the work they put in through the season, it all comes down to this very match. So Megalas, why don't you go ahead and introduce our teams?
Well, introducing our teams would be a lovely, lovely pleasure. Starting off on the side of Eclipse, coming on in, we have Brimos and Berkey will be your tank players. Stealth and Amara will be picking up the DPS line. And then finally, last but certainly not least, we will have Pika and Koalas over on the support line. Then, on the other side of the screen, you're going to have AYAYA, of course, with base boosted and Lyroll trying to match that tank presence felt on the other side. You have Xerox and Eternal picking up the damage dealers, and then once again, last but certainly not least, McBean and Dank Monkey taking the supports.
Now, this is absolutely huge. So, as I said, this is first versus third seed in the Blackwatch division. Eclipse, coming in from the regular season into the playoffs, had a 4-2 win-loss ratio with a positive 10 map differential. AYAYA coming in third place on the opposite end of the spectrum with a 2-4 win-loss ratio and a -8 map differential. So, I feel like these games are just so odd because as close, despite the fact that the scores for both Salt and AYAYA were just so close to one another, I feel like we might just be seeing the exact same matchup this evening between Eclipse and AYAYA. It just may come down to those final maps, to those split-second decisions at the end of whatever fight is going on that literally ends up deciding who will end up being the victor. Our first map of the evening is going to be taking us to Lijiang Tower, which is a fan favorite, so it should be interesting to see how these teams go ahead and play it out. And while we're getting ready to get things started, go ahead and hit that heart and punch that bell so you're notified every time that we're online. You can also hit that sub button, $4.99 or Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime subscription will give you access to some amazing emotes and support our awesome community. If our teams are ready to go, let's get this showdown started.
Starting it on Lijiang, and I mean,
come on, let's bring it together.
As you said, AYAYA coming into this, they really started making these playoff maps. They made them count. You know, they realize this is where they got to show up. They don't really have to do as much in the regular season as long as they make it count here.
Mm-hmm. And as odd as that is to say,
as long as you technically make it in, that's all you really need. Mm-hmm. And last time I saw the third seed go against the first seed was actually the Overwatch Grand Finals for the Overwatch League, and I mean, number 3 seed's the one who took that in a rather dominant fashion. So, starting off here on the Control Center, it's going to be interesting what these teams lock first.
Well, it definitely is kind of that all over the place map. You do have the high ground advantages that could be coming in. Most teams tend to go for the brawly composition, take the high ground first, and then move into the objective kind of after the fight is done, which is kind of what I feel like we're seeing right here. For the side of AYAYA, they're definitely going with that traditional brawly composition. Base boosting coming in on the D.Va instead of the Zarya to complement the Rhine. but they do have the Brig as well with that stun potential. And if you've never seen Dank Monkey on that Brig, like, you might as well count them as a third DPS, because that's exactly what typically goes on when Dank Monkey gets behind that Brig shield. Coming into the fight, it looks like we're going to see actually Eclipse go ahead and take the low ground and go ahead and get started on the objective as they go ahead and make their way up the stairs, trying to meet AYAYA's presence. As the shield continues to hold against the defense, Pika gonna end up getting the first pick onto Xerox right there. Stealth RTG coming in as that Hanzo doing damage from a distance. And Berkey able to follow up on Dank Monkey. It's a 4v6 fight, but that fight is just gonna go ahead and get paused for the moment as they pull back to spawn for a regroup, and Eclipse takes the objective.
I mean, it was just very interesting high ground take going into that tip to point, but doesn't even have time. We're already swinging Ryan's walls are out.
Woo! The sleep dart comes in. Lyrule getting the double kill on that charge right there, taking down both Amara and Brimos with only 20% on the objective. I feel we're going to see a quick swap over for the side of AYAYA as they go ahead and get that DMAC onto Berkey as well as that kill. The only one left really on the objective is AYAYA Koalas. Now we're going to see Pika move their way in here on that Reddit. Lucio get taken down just as quickly. At the 35% mark, we are going to see control switch over to AYAYA.
It was interesting how aggressively forward Eclipse decided to hold there. I mean, they decided to go on in with the Hanzo at range, not really brawling as much, but we're brawling now.
The Shatter comes in both ways, but the Maywall keeping it all up. Blossom and Blizzard get traded out equally as well, but AYAYA is going to get that first pick onto Dank Monkey with Stealth following up on Lyrule. It's a 4v6 fight as they retreat back to the objective, using those Maywalls to really try to separate out the team, but Stealth's going to get that pick on Eternal right after coming out of the Icicle. Pika soon to follow up there on Xerox, and that is going to be a clear of the objective as we see AYAYA literally meeting the percentage of Eclipse as they retake the objective.
I mean, it's just this constant back and forth between these two teams, pretty much equal. But going into this next fight, the Dragons is probably going to be huge if they can catch them in this chokeway. Or a Maywall could just narrow off the break like that.
All right, Brimos Ore taking down Dank Monkey right there as they move their way into the objective, but they're getting cut off right here at the choke. The anti-nade onto Brimos is finally worn off to be able to give them some healing as they couldn't get too aggressive. But it seems like both Ryans literally on either side of the wall just waiting to swing hammers at one another. Again, McBean is coming in with that nano though, so it should be a huge fight, but the Maywall coming up. Blizzard now coming down with the Diva Bomb as Stealth ends up getting the double kill with the Dragon Strike. Base boosted following up on Brimos though with the Diva Bomb in return, but I don't think there's going to be enough for them to go ahead and push in on the objective as Berkey ends up getting that pick on Eternal. 91% in climbing for Eclipse.
I mean, they're going to have to send somebody in just to touch, but the Fat Shatter unfortunately gets walled off here.
Yeah, unfortunate right there. It was good because they didn't have the shield there to hold everything together, but Berkey will end up taking down Lyrule there as we go ahead and see them stagger into the objective. Xerox now swapping over to the Doomfist, looking to see if they can get some damage in on the objective, but Amara and Pika are just going to get picks on the healers right now as the tackle now coming in gets the DMAC onto base boosted. Xerox and base boosted, both falling on the objective as now we see a spin to win coming out right now for Lyrule, just trying to hold on to the objective right now. Ends up getting taken down by Amara's Blizzard, 100 to 35%. We will see Eclipse start their capture rate here on Lijiang.
I mean, outside of that one fight Eclipse lost where they simply overextended and didn't have the brawl pressure with their Hanzo, they were able to hold that choke rather well. Amara with the Maywalls essentially cutting somebody off each and every time. And there was no real rotation for the side of AYAYA. They didn't try to opt into another entranceway or anything, so it ultimately just doomed them in the end. But it's another map. We're here on the night market, and I like the Pharah I'm seeing. It gives you a lot of advantage over this composition. The Mei can't really deal with you, and there's nothing to really stop you on the other side outside of a well-aiming Baptiste.
Well, I feel like it's definitely going to be a bit of back and forth. Stealth has been proving, as well as Amara, to be incredibly deadly with their shots. So, and remember, it is kind of close it's kind of close quarters once you go inside the objective point for that far, but it looks like Xerox is going to get that initial pick onto Stealth RTG, so not going to have to deal with that Hanzo so much. But hopefully they'll be able to get some additional picks moving into the objective, looking to see if they can get that pick onto AYAYA. They at least have them quarantined off from the rest of the team right now, as Berkey able to get that pick onto Eternal. Sleep Dart comes in on Brimos after the tackle and ends up getting the Fire Strike onto Lyrule. That's going to be a continued contest of the objective, as right now the only one left on point is going to be Dank Monkey. Xerox soon to follow, getting taken out, and Eclipse taking the objective, starting their percentage climb.
And nothing really used or gained in that fight for either team. But looking forward, this barrage, it's going to have to come up big, but at the same time, Berkey, with those 3-second Diva boosters, she's just such a powerful hero. She'll be everywhere to kind of eat it, negate any damage that wants to come in from it. And I mean, outside of that, it's just going to be possibly an impactful shatter from Brimos and just straight out picks otherwise.
And the shatter comes in after the follow-up with Lyrule going down. We're going to see the icicle come up for Eternal, trying to hold everything together, but it's going to end up falling there to AYAYA. The Far Mercy is off to the side as we... Is that Pika?
Yes.
Is that Pika? Those Reddit Lucios, I swear, just going after the Far Mercies in the sky. It takes such incredible skill to be able to do both. Lyrule does end up getting that pick onto Amara as well, so it essentially is a 4v6 fight right now. Barrage coming out, but the B drop from Pika just in time to save the day. Diva Bomb coming down on the objective right there. Doesn't get much of anything there for Berkey, but they will continue to hold on to the objective. 69% in climbing. Lyrule will end up getting that kill there at the end. But Pika just hanging on to that wall, just wall riding the whole way around. 77% for the side of Eclipse as we see the turnover go to AYAYA.
And what was really interesting in that fight was the ultimate dedication. I mean, the beat drop, the amplification matrix, and the bomb all get used for the side of Eclipse. Going into this next fight, those are ults you're going to want to have, especially against this Blizzard.
Ooh, the Blizzard comes out, but the Dragon Strike separates out the team. Shatter coming down, but no! Eternal ends up walling off the Shatter, so it gets no value for their team. Amara putting up the wall for the other side as they go ahead and retreat back to spawn after that pick on to Brimos, and they're going to go ahead and get right back into the fight once again with how aggressive these teams are getting. Brimos getting picked off by Lyrule, or getting that pick on Lyrule already. So it's a 5v6 fight going into the objective, and Brimos has the Shatter online, ready to bring it down. Amplification Matrix now coming out as the Diva Bomb going up. 4 base boosted, trying to get a pick is unsuccessful, but Brimos and Pika getting picks on that objective as the Blizzard now coming down. Rez is able to come in for Eternal as the Shatter now comes down for Brimos. Doesn't seem to get much of anything, unfortunately, as Lyrule trading blows with Brimos against Eternal and Pika, but it seems like we will see control go back over to the side of Eclipse at the 70% mark.
I mean, so many ultimates for both teams dumped into that, and this is where you're starting to regret those decisions. If you're AYAYA, since you weren't able to win that fight, you're going to have to contest a Dragon, a beat drop coming out from Pika, and then also a Diva Bomb will come online during what this could be the potential final fight here on Lijiang.
All right, well, the Dragon Strike coming out, looking to see if it can get an initial pick, is unsuccessful as Xerox takes down AYAYA. The beat coming in, looking to see if they can keep everybody going, but the Nano onto Lyrule is going to earn up that Shatter. Ends up getting 2, but not a lot of follow-up except for the DMAC right there. Amara trying to see if they can get some freezes, but Xerox will end up taking them out before the picks can be had. Pika soon to follow after that as we go ahead and see control swap back over to AYAYA at the 99% mark.
And then we're definitely going to be entering final fight here, as they're going to have to wait for Berkey to regather with the team, and honest to goodness, this fight could go any which way. It's going to be a battle of Barrage versus Diva Bomb, or just Diva's kind of existence. Brimos could build up to the Shatter, make it impactful, but Brimos is rolled!
It's set out, but the Immortality Field is up, trying to keep them up in that fight right now. Xerox looking to get in position as the Diva Bomb going up. ends up taking down AYAYA. Koala Shatter also coming in there for Primos as Xerox gets the double barrage right there onto Primos and Berkey. The Blizzard comes down as the Mini Diva coming in with the Nano. Looking to see if they can get some kills with that blaster. Does a little bit of help, but not much else than that. AYAYA will end up taking Night Market 100 to 99% as we move on to map number 3.
I mean, that was as close gets. Both teams pretty much trading back and forth with which fights they won. And if you're the side of Eclipse, you're probably going to have to try to deal with this Pharah a little bit more. You need to prove more of a nuisance despite Berkey's best efforts. I mean, truly phenomenal Diva play, keeping the Pharah from getting a whole lot of impact until the end where Berkey had to be the one to touch point. And unfortunately, Diva can't be in two places at once. She's fast, but she's just not that fast.
Nope, I agree with you there, and it looks like we're going to get a change in composition for the side of AYAYA. They're going more divey, and Eternal very dangerous when it comes to that Sombra, so it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how this if this ends up working out for them. As we know, dive meta is not something that we see normally run anymore, but maybe with the changes that we've been seeing coming in, we might see that happen. Stealth does get that initial pick onto Xerox, coming in as the lone Pharah, no mercy in tow right there. Dank Monkey gonna hold on to that res for just a little bit. Amara still on that maze, so it's gonna be really difficult for that dive to be able to work on that objective as Stealth and Berkey getting picks. They're gonna go ahead and grab the objective for the side of Eclipse as Xerox gets that final pick onto Pika for good measure.
Yeah, but unfortunately it is a pick onto Lucio, so Pika will be back before the next fight can really start. And now the question is, how are you going to get value out of this dive? Which target are you really going to want to dive? Because Lucio can speed away, there's an immortality field, you don't want to jump to Mei, and you can't really jump up far in the sky, so it's interesting why they're continuing to commit this dive despite the low value it could get as the Pharah's hacked out of the sky.
Woo! And that's going to be a pick there for Xerox with the help of Eternal to be able to solidify that. We're going to see, again, base boosted, getting a little caught out of position as Xerox able to follow up onto Koalas once again. It's a 4v6 fight. 3v6 is between Xerox and McBean right now, just clearing up the objective right now. Berkey also hacked, ends up getting taken out of mech and will end up falling here just very shortly after the fight is over. Control at the 49% mark will move over to the side of AYAYA.
I mean, Eternal on that Sombra getting absolutely crucial hacks because of the fact that Stealth on the other side is not playing with a Mercy. They're going to have to come back to the ground more and more just to get healing. But the EMP's already starting!
That's a 4-man EMP, folks, as they go ahead and move their way in, looking to see if they can get some value out of it. I don't see a pick to be had just yet, as now the Primal starts coming out, looking to just kind of distract them, keep them off the objective for right now. Base Boosted is able to get out of that fight successfully as they continue to try to kind of keep them in spawn right now. We're going to see the barrage now coming down for Xerox, but Stealth will take them and Dank Monkey out of the sky. So that's a 2-for-1 trade right now. 4v5 on the objective, or sorry, Lyrule behind the objective ends up getting frozen out and taken down by Berkey, but Stealth will get followed up on by Eternal. Now meeting the percentage mark, we now see AYAYA taking the lead as the tackle comes in, but Base Boosted still holding on to that objective despite everything that's going on. Shatter and Diva Bomb going into the backline as Control swaps over. McBean gets taken down by the Diva Bomb, but there's a continued fight going on as the hack comes in from the barrage. Stealth and Xerox trading blows and getting kills on each other. We will see it quiet down just for a moment as Eclipse takes the point, 68% and climbing.
I mean, Stealth was insane with the Pharah play, not even having the Mercy, still able to output the damage. Now going over to the Reaper, possibly just to do more against that Winston and that Wrecking Ball, but going into this next fight, you're more worried about the Pharah. Once more, it comes down to Berkey, but when Berkey's hacked like they are now,
oh boy, base boosted, already getting picked off there as the barrage comes down into the immortality, ends up taking down Primos as well, and getting the DMEC onto Berkey, and it looks like we're seeing the cleanup coming in right now. Eternal and Xerox getting pick for pick right now on the objective as they go ahead and clear it all out. The only one left right now on point are both Pika and Amara as Xerox ends up falling Amara there at the end. Immortality does end up coming out, but not soon enough to save Pika in the end. 99% as we see it swap back over to control for AYAYA.
And this is probably the worst position Eclipse could be in. All they have pretty much close to online is this beat drop. They're going to have to contest a Primal Rage, a Nano Boost, a Minefield, and an EMP all on the other side. So really, there's just so many lethal potent threats coming out for the side of AYAYA into this next fight.
Oh, the EMP gets 5, but you know that beat's coming in for Pika, bringing it back, trying to hold everything together as McBean Bean and Pika trading blows on the objective. Minefield ends up coming down as the shield tries to absorb everything in a quick manner. I Like Koalas will also lose the immortality field as well as their life shatter coming down, but goes straight into shield, keeping them off the objective the entire time. AYAYA taking first map with probably one of the oddest strategies I think I've ever seen in recent time anyway, here on Lijiang Tower.
I mean, Eternal on that Sombra is an absolute nuisance. It'll set up the rest of his team in order to be able to play the game. The Pharah was getting value, everybody was doing their most, but Pika trying their hardest to combat it on the other side.
It was definitely an incredible fight between these two teams. I wasn't even watching the percentages as it was going on. I was so focused on the fight, as was everyone else apparently in the battle. They forgot, hey, like, we gotta get to the objective like now. And AYAYA using those distraction strategies off the objective, the staggered ults during the first time they took the objective ended up gaining them about 60% during that entire time, and literally the entire fight was they ran the EMP, didn't get any picks from it, no big. They run the Primal Rage with base boosted, ends up getting trapped in a room with the whole enemy team around them, still is able to escape to safety and just waste time. That's literally AYAYA's entire goal, was that they were wasting time off the objective, and Eclipse didn't watch out for that. So, I mean, not a strategy we see very often. Usually we just see kind of matched up fights on the objective. So AYAYA is coming out with some incredible strategy, in my opinion.
I mean, incredible strategy, but also just in terms of that last fight, it was ridiculous, the ult advantage. Eclipse dumped everything into trying to hold and win that 99% war. And going into it, sure, you had Beat, but Beat had to try to somehow negate 4 ultimates on the other side. It's just not possible. You would need the mother of all beats, and then on top of that, the Lucio would have to go get a 3K. And even then, it's still not guaranteed.
Yeah, and that was a huge issue with that, and I was watching that go down the entire time. Eternal coming in with the EMP was really focused on the group, but I was noticing the fact that Pika was staying out of that EMP for the reason of using Beat. But at the end of the day, it would have just kind of been a lost fight anyway, unfortunately, because as you said, the ult advantage was definitely in their favor. Seeing Stealth switching over to that Reaper was incredibly odd. I feel like they were maybe just trying to take control of the tanks on the objective and then kind of figure out what to do against Xerox after that. But by the time they ended up actually switching to a McCree to try to deal with Xerox directly, it was too late. There was just nothing they could do. So our next map is going to be our assault map, which Eclipse will get the chance to go ahead and pick out. I can roll a dice and probably guess it's going to be Hanamura, but I have definitely been wrong before. Looking in the chat right now, Teddy Ursa in the chat saying running Pharah with Bap Lucio. I'm guessing QQ is like crying eyes, and I kind of agree with that. Although Stealth was getting quite a few picks until Eternal started picking on them. So a Pharah Mercy isn't always a win condition, as Red Hoodie said earlier in the chat right there. And also commenting from Red Hoodie, how many times will Pika be hacked until he gets off Lucio? Points for determination. And that's interesting. I didn't see as many. Hacks coming in on the Lucio, but definitely that does put a damper in your healing because if I remember correctly, it doesn't. It ends up negating both speed and heals. It doesn't matter which you're on. It just kind of negates whatever that Lucio is on completely for the time that they're hacked. So it just makes it a lot harder to fight when you don't have any ability except your boop gun. Oh,
Yeah.
Volskaya. Huh.
Volskaya is indeed the map we're going to be going to, but I'm not sure if that's where you want to go because sure the Pharah was annoying. I don't think Xerox was the main issue. Sure, they were showing up big in the kill feed, but Eternal on that Sombra was ridiculous. I mean, hack after hack, the Pharah was forced to play ground Pharah on the other side, so Stealth just constantly hacked. As you were saying, the Lucio hacks coming in, and Volskaya is a map that lends itself so much to Sombra's kit. There's so many different cheeky little angles she can hide behind to hack at. There's so many little nooks and crannies for her to hide. It's an interesting pick to be sure, but it's also an off meta, I guess you could call it, pick. You don't see Volskaya too often, so maybe there's a strategy here for Eclipse.
Yeah, there's so many different angles that they could end up running this with, but the big issue is definitely going to be Eternal on that Sombra, and I feel like a lot of teams have issues with that. If you don't know how to deal with a Sombra very effectively, you're going to have a really difficult time in a match. Typically, we'll see runs with like a Hanzo just for the sites, which I see Stealth is coming out with. Usually we'll see it for the healer sides, a Brig come out just to kind of like flail around and make sure that nobody's around to like hack or EMP or anything, which is incredibly useful. It does seem like we're going to see very standard compositions though come out from either side this time around. It looks like Dank's going to be taking up that Brig once again with Xerox now coming in on the Reaper to do that extra damage, but Mara and Stealth going back to that Hanzo Mei composition that they were using, and Koala's choosing the Moira over the Bat this time around. So definitely some interesting composition changes they're making for Volskaya.
I like this for the side of Eclipse simply because they can speed boost, disengage, and unlike a Baptiste, the Moira can freely move with the team with her healing, and it allows Stealth to get a lot more value. Coming in here, there has to be picks made though, otherwise comp essentially is rendered useless.
And that's that first pick, but Primos gets traded out by Xerox right there. Berkey and Amara able to follow up though onto Xerox and Eternal right there. Base boosted, last one to fall as Dank Monkey is, and McBean being able to barely escape with their lives. 3 minutes, 25 seconds on the clock.
And we do see Pika go all the way back for the poor Reinhardt, just trying to get his old butt back to the point. As we're seeing just the re-engage on the choke, there's not really going to be an option for Xerox to brawl here, so potentially staying on the Reaper could be a mistake. As Stealth doing...
and gets moved off the high ground immediately after teleport. Stealth ends up getting the pick onto McBean as well, so the only heals you've got on the objective right now are Dank Monkey on that Brig. As we see them come in, Pika is going to get that pick as Lyral gets the tackle onto Primos. No heals on the objective, though, as now the Coalescence coming out for I Like Koala is not a way to really keep that from doing damage, to be completely honest with you. Now the tackle coming in, looking to see if he'll get that pick, will be successful for Lyral, ends up getting the double, using the Shatter just to kind of stay up in the fight because they're incredibly low on health. The rest of the team able to get back in there as we see Lyral able to get that health back and continue to stay up in the fight. Berkey versus base boosted right now on the objective, and the DMAC comes on to Berkey first as they go ahead and get that pick. I Like Wallace will take McBean down in the back line as they go ahead and escape to the safety of the team. First pick already on the objective as Eternal and Amara trading blows on those Mays. The Blizzard now coming down on the objective, but nobody's really there to do much of anything. It just kind of wastes time. I Like Wallace will get Lyral, who's focused on that Diva Bomb. There in the end, base boosted will end up falling here shortly as well, and it looks like it is time for a regroup, but they are continuing to hold on to this. Base boosted going for that hard reset. Berkey with the Diva Bomb ends up getting Eternal as the Blossom coming out for Xerox gets... What? They were booped, but they ended up just walking off the side. I think they realized too late that the fight was kind of already over, wasting an entire 2 minutes on that staggered fight, now leaving them only 1 minute and 15 seconds on the clock.
And that's the beauty of this defense comp for Eclipse. Because there wasn't a Lucio on the other side for the longest time, they could just disengage, wait, give up a little bit of progress on the point, and it allowed them to continue this high-value fight. And now they're being forced to engage so aggressively with only 1 minute left on the clock.
We even see that swap of Xerox over to the Doomfist now. Here comes the Nano, as well as the Blizzard getting a shatter as well. Lyru cleaning it up right now. Diva Bomb in the sky. Gets the double for base boosted as they go ahead and clean up Berkey as well. With 30 seconds remaining on the clock, Pika trying to hold on for dear life, but ends up getting taken out by Xerox there in the end. They're going to go ahead and grab Objective Alpha and move their way to Objective Bravo with 3 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock.
And now we're seeing the defense switch it up ever so slightly. We're going to have Pika go over to the Ana, something we've yet to see from them tonight. And then we also have AYAYA switching over to the Baptiste, gives you this more standardized, wanting to hold up kind of composition, but still the Doomfist a contest on the other side.
Woo! Amara getting picked off early there because of the positioning of the Maywalls. Beat drop coming in to save against the Dragons as Primos ends up taking out Lyrule. Diva Bomb now coming down for Berkey as the Maywall shutters it off, holding them right now at the choke of the Objective. Antinade coming in, trying to save the day as they get first tick with 2 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock. Diva Bomb now going down, looking to see if it can do some damage. Gets nothing but shield as the tackle and freeze come in on base boosted. They're going to go ahead and go for that hard reset to regroup with the rest of the team. 2 minutes, 25 seconds on the clock.
And now it becomes about how you're going to crack this if you're AYAYA. And essentially, sure, you could aggress in with your speed boost, but it's going to be very hard to do with a May on the other side, Immortality Field, so many ways the side of Eclipse could live this. That your best bet is going to get Xerox in on a flank on this Doomfist, but who's really going to be the best target to pick off? Ana could Sleep Dart, Baptiste could Immortality Field. Really, you're just going to be aiming for stealth, and stealth with one well-aimed headshot could just completely negate a fight on this defensive advantage.
I agree. Blizzard coming down, looking to see if it can get some picks, but Lyrule will take down Amara before they're able to follow up on it. Sleep Dart also coming in onto Berkey as the shatter coming down for Primos, looking to see if it can pick up after Lyrule's done. Doesn't get much of anything. Blizzard coming down on the Objective as Primos ends up getting the Nano. It's wasted. It's wasted on Primos as they get taken out of the fight. Now we see Berkey trying to hold on to the Objective as Xerox clearing out AYAYA with Pika in tow from Dank Monkey. We see them now back in the fight as Primos now coming back in as the Hammond, just trying to hold on to the Objective. Second tick, 1 minute, 15 seconds. Now the Nano coming in on Lyrule as the Dragon Strike comes into the Objective from Stealth RTG. Diva Bomb coming down for base boosted, ends up taking down Stealth with 1 minute 6 on the clock. We will see AYAYA secure Objective Bravo.
This is starting to get a little bit dicey. This is the moment where your mental has to be absolutely held. You have to be able to reassure yourselves it's only a minute. You can come back in with a better time bank, but with AYAYA having the statistically worse composition there, they were still able to make it work, make the picks come through just by having these very chaotic, very staggered fights. And I think Base Boost is getting huge value out of this because on Diva, they're just managing to be everywhere. They're just being a complete nuisance, whereas Berkey on the other side is unfortunately forced to play with one or two people, try to shield them, keep them alive with the defense matrix. And it's two different looks for two different divas, and it could be spelling out how this is already going.
No, I completely agree with you there. It's definitely a very interesting setup for both teams coming into this. Looks like AYAYA has put in quite a bit of practice preparing for this match. Although 1 minute 6 doesn't look like much on the clock, to be honest, it gives them an advantage that currently Eclipse does not have when it comes to going for this first objective. And we're seeing the setup very similar to what we saw from the side of AYAYA coming in on the attack. Pika going over to the Brig, for those flails and that shield. Koala's on that Ana as well, and we're going to see the exact same on the other side, but Xerox choosing the McCree over the Reaper this time around. What do you think about that?
I think it gives the side of AYAYA a little bit more poke damage because both these compositions, they want to brawl, they want to be close up and fight, but the difference is Reaper's not doing any damage outside of 5 meters, whereas McCree can poke you before you can come in, wear down shields, force cooldowns, as they just did.
Like that flashbang. Just doing a whole lot of damage. Pika getting ready to fall there in the fight if they're not careful. Anti-Nade ends up coming in, looking to get that pick. Eternal will follow up on AYAYA as it's Primos falling to base boosted right there. It's a 4v6 fight. Pika is able to take down Dank Monkey there in the end as the freeze ends up coming in onto both Eternal and base boosted. They will end up clearing the objective though. Xerox able to get that final pick on the Pika as they chase off the rest of the team from the objective. We will end up seeing Stealth and Berkey just barely able to get away and regroup with the rest of the team.
And those are stagger picks as well. I mean, it's just more time bought off the clock, already a minute gone. And Xerox nearly gets another pick on the Pika. I mean, this flashbang is forcing out so much healing, biotic grenades, armor packs, but Primos gets the first pick.
Primos making a Reinhardt sandwich right there. Big anti-nade coming in from AYAYA allows Primos to follow up on that triple. The sleep dart comes in, but it's not going to be enough as Pika getting the double to clean up the rest of the objective from McBean and base boosted. With 2 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock, they're going to go ahead and move things over to objective Bravo, giving them about 5 minutes to take that objective.
Yes, indeed, and you hit the nail on the head. Koala's hits a massive purple onto the other team. There's just no healing that can come in, even if they want it. But looking forward to this next fight, if it's a drawn-out kind of poke engagement from either team, we could be facing a 12 ult scenario outside of possibly Stealth on that Reaper.
High noon coming in from Xerox, looking to see if they can get that pick. Shatter as they're all in the room trying to hide from the high noon. That allows Lyrule to end up getting Pika. Dank Monkey following up on that, and the rest of the team just getting chased out of that room right there. They are going to end up getting away, surprisingly. I really have no idea how that ends up going down, but will end up working out in their favor as we go ahead and see them prepare for another push.
But it's so brutal. Berkey is demech'd, so unfortunately they're just kind of waiting for their diva to regain mech, and Dank is going to just pop rally, go ahead and engage on this, knowing they have an advantage. The diva's still re-entering mech.
Oh, Stealth is able to get that pick onto Lyrule thanks to the middle. Shatter! Diva Bomb coming in! Stealth gets the quadruple kill as Base takes down Stealth in return, but it's not going to be enough for them to hold on to this objective. First tick, Ore going to Eclipse, looking to get that second, will be successful as we see Lyrule trying to tackle in. Oh, we see the Nano now coming in, as well as the Blizzard trying to hold on to the objective as Berkey and Primos able to take down Lyrule and Xerox. The double Blizzard will hold everyone still on the objective for just a moment as the fight now continues. Seeing Stealth coming back in as that Doomfist, looking to see if they can do some additional damage. Shatter coming in from Lyrule, ends up taking down a couple, but without much follow-up, they don't end up getting the picks that they need. Stealth will end up falling as the anti-nade coming in on base, and Lyrule allows them to go ahead and clean up the objective. They literally have 3% left to hold on to this objective. Base boosted, holding on for all intents and purposes, trying to keep things going as they continue to spin to win on the objective. It is now a battle between Eternal and Berkey as they go ahead and get picked off. Lyrule coming back in, gets the double, but the anti-nade trying to cancel out the Nano that has come in. They have retaken control in a surprising upset. 2 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock as we see AYAYA push them back to spawn.
If you're AYAYA, I mean, you're not really sure what just happened there. Starts off with the double blizzards, and then eventually it's just the staggered out fights. Lyrule was so close to Shatter, finally gets it up, lands a huge Shatter, at least forces everyone off point, and the defensive respawns really just gave AYAYA the win there. But looking forward, they're going to have to deal with a lot They're going to have to deal with a rally, a shatter, and a nano boost, and that comes in onto anybody. But Pika's rallying early. This is spelling disaster for
The
AYAYA.
Sleep Dart comes in. Maywall coming in to try to separate out the nano that's gone in onto Pika. Meteor Strike now coming in onto Xerox as the shatter from Lyrule ends up getting a couple. Xerox and base boosted looks to clean it up and are successful. Pika now worn off from the nano and the rally. Gonna get sectioned out by the wall as they go ahead and grab it there once again. We're gonna go ahead and see Pika fall as they get separated out. 1 minute, 40 seconds on the clock as they prepare for another push.
Eternal is the hero there. I mean, that was an unwinnable fight, and because that Maywall came in so crucially, a Brigitte with a nano boost and rally is terrifying, but once it's only just the Brigitte, you can kite the damage. There's no real worry, and nobody else from the side of Eclipse to push in. Now we're pushing into another fight. The Shatter's still online for Brimos. If he can make it big, this could be the fight, but Anti is onto both teams.
Anti-nade on both sides with the Maywalls trying to separate everybody out as they continue to hold on to this choke point. Blizzard goes down as the Diva Bomb gets traded, looking to see if they can get a pick. Amara does take down Xerox as now the Blizzard goes down in return, looking to get that pick. Somebody's got to be on the objective. McBean trying to hold on right now against both May and Reaper on the objective. They will end up retreating back to the safety of the team as they go ahead and get those picks right now. Stealth separated out from the rest of the team does end up raving over to the other side to try to regroup, but Xerox with that elbow drop will end up picking them off with that stagger. 30 seconds remaining on the clock as they come in with another probably final push.
And what went from a guaranteed win overtime rounds, you now have to finish with at least 1 second on the clock if you're Eclipse to have any chance of winning this map. If you finish with no time in the bank, that 1 minute 6 seconds, quite literally 6 seconds, could have decided the future of this map.
The shatter comes up, but the nano or the Maywall tries to separate it out, absorb the damage. Amara now coming back in the Farah takes Xerox out in return. Overtime ticking away right now as they are trying to take this objective. Diva Bomb going into the sky, looking to get a pick. Base boosted with the double onto Brimos and Amara as they continue to try to hold control. We now see Lyrule back out on the Hammond, but already getting picked off by Berkey as the D-Mech ends up coming in on base boosted, getting finally picked off by Pika, looking to get that final pick on the objective. We now see Tank Monkey swapping over to the Lucio, just barely touching the objective to keep things going until the rest of the team gets there, but they get locked out. They end up grabbing the objective, but they have literally only pushed their demise just a little further because all it's going to take is 1 minute and 6 seconds. If AYAYA can take the objective here as we go into round 3, they will end up winning this map, but if they don't, then it is a draw, folks. And it is very similar to what we dealt with on Saturday, where it will essentially be down to the next 2 maps who decides the victors of the finals in the Blackwatch division.
I mean, these two teams, they just seem so evenly matched. There's fights where anybody can come out ahead, and you have to be kicking yourself because quite literally 6 seconds has determined this map. What went from something where each team could have gotten some extra time, we're now in a draw or die scenario for the side of Eclipse, but it's definitely possible to hold this. They're choosing the Reaper composition here once again, wanting to stay up close and personal, but I don't think AYAYA is going to match them on it. I think the Symmetra could come out. Wherever the TP goes, it's going to get them to point quick, and if they don't get a first pick on the defense here, I think Eclipse could watch it all fade away before their eyes.
It's definitely going to be something that they have to be ready for, and it looks like having Berkey on that Diva will allow them to do so, as well as Stealth on that Reaper. They'll be able to try to meet them on that high ground very quickly, but Eternal, the way that they've been playing the majority of the night, being incredibly dangerous, along with Xerox now coming in on that May. See, we already see Berkey on that high ground as they go ahead and get pushed up by the by everyone coming out of the teleporter. Lyrule going for that tackle, doesn't manage to get much of anything. The fight, Ore on the objective as we see Pika getting frozen out, almost getting taken out of the fight right there. McBeamian trying to heal in that backline. The Maywall separating out everyone as we see Berkey diving into the backline, looking to see if they can get that pick. Ends up getting D-Mac as the anti-nade ends up coming in. Berkey will end up taking down Lyru as we see the D-Mac coming in. Eternal trading out as well as being boosted onto Pika and Brimos. The rally already coming up for Dank Monkey despite the fact that the anti-nade is on them, trying to hold on to the objective. Now the Nano onto Dank Monkey, looking to see if they can slap some people around, and AYAYA will walk away into the halftime 2-0 against first seed Eclipse.
Eclipse played that just far too passively. With that composition, you have the advantage in quick burst damage because you have the Reaper. The Symmetra on the other side is not going to be able to replicate it. And instead of the Reaper getting picks or anything, they just played back with their team, and that's not what you can do when you're in these situations. The Symmetra eventually whittled everybody down, and we did get to see some nice Reinhardt, though, so it's always fun to see the big man swing the hammer.
Agreed. So I just want to clarify in the chat, because we're having the same discussion that we had on Saturday. Is this a best of 5 or is this a first to 3? And at the end of the day, this is a first to 3 match. Typically, we do a best of 5 match, and I know the terminology is so weird, but a best of 5 match only is for maps that we're counting map differential on. So when you're looking at that, like, you have to play out those 4 maps regardless of what happens. But in the playoffs, like, if you do first to 3, there's no reason to play out that 4th map, if that makes sense. Like if it was still best of 5, like, it's still going to be best of 5, because if they won those 2 maps, it'd still be 3-2, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So the technical definition is first to 3, and right now AYAYA is showing that they're at that point. They're at the cusp. If they win this next match, they will be our Blackwatch Division champions, regardless whatever else ends up happening this evening. So Eclipse needs to go back during this halftime break, try to figure out what they're going to do against AYAYA, because they are going agaga right now when it comes to trying to take everyone out right now. In essentially a come from behind victory as the underdogs coming out of the season. So it's going to be interesting. If Eclipse does get their 2 wins right here, we will go into a map 5, which will essentially be a best of 5. But I know that stuff gets confusing. I've dealt with it a lot as a caster, but I assure you that is exactly what's going on here. And it looks like we are clearing that up in the chat as well. So there we go. Anything else you want to put out there before we go to our halftime break, Baglass?
I mean, it seems close between these teams, but at the same time, AYAYA is coming away with it. So I think you hit it. Eclipse has to be the one in this half, figure out what's going wrong, and really reevaluate their strategy moving forward.
Yeah, that's really something that has been between these two, because like we've seen missed ultimates, we've seen really hot ultimates, and they've traded between each. The communication seems very on par, but AYAYA, just the compositions they continue to pick is what's working out in their favor. So I'm really interested to see what Eclipse does come back with in the second half. Stay tuned. We have a new halftime for you all to watch in lieu of our finals week and going into the All-Star matches in the following week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Get yourself a drink, use the bathroom, whatever you need to do. OCC Scrims will be back in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
3. It's just like
It's a first to 3, but you're only going to 2. Well, no, it wouldn't be a first to 3. It's a best of 5. Or it's a 4-match set.
Oh my god, what a sleep! What a sleep!
He's looking for it, he's gonna find some, but he's gonna be immediately shielded. Massive play from overkills there. Sniperlight's gonna find that beat or lamp, however, and the huge bomb is gonna find 4! Oh my god, Sniper Life! Huge play!
My bad?
It's fair, I have to admit it here on
I was, you know, I thought I was typing on the Overwatch thing, and then I'm like, why aren't any things coming up? And I'm like, what is this even affecting? And then I look over, and I'm like, oh shit, the mic turned on. It was only for like a little speckle of a second. Thank God you weren't trash talking anybody.
As Obi-Wan getting a double money and following up on Ikkyo as the shatter comes in. Obi-Wan still having that meteor strike available.
I was doing so well.
KBC looking to follow up on the bravery who was swapped over to the Ham and Psychon now coming in as Lucio trying to hold on, trying to get that beat.
They have 10 seconds to touch that payload.
Oh no, and Twitchy's gotta be careful. You don't want to just get in there. Oh, that's gonna be the end of Twitchy there. Oh, great job by Shibiki keeping the rest of the team alive. So here we go. It's gonna be the final battle, and Zenkai has got to do something to make this work. Sway drops that ultimate, but the ultimates come out in favor of the Horn Beast. That's gonna be the Horn Beast.
Beat drop coming in from Sassafras and the Diva Bomb coming down from Game Career.
Oh my god!
What? Where?
Oh my god, the Toycom picks up Berkey and Neptune picks up Sassafras. It looks like this actually might be all over here for Eclipse.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
On to
Bye.
something. Prim, they've got to be careful with Prim, who's coming up behind on the enemy team. There goes 6C. Oh, is that going to... That's going to be a huge one, boys. That's going to be what finishes this particular game. Miss picking up yet another one. Stopping it. And that's AYAYA taking this one home. Oh, and that's a big feels bad. McDean, though, able to stay alive. Oh, but it could be dangerous territory. That's a 1-1 pick here on both sides. But McDean's got to be careful not to get taken out. Dank Monkey still on that Lucio, able to keep him alive. Oh, and that dive composition might not be coming in the best. Dank Monkey.
Widowmaker will find Mosaic here. High charge Zarya, getting tons of work in at the moment. And Widow just has to back up right now, but Jesus is going to fall to KBC, the absolute terror! Russian Fury pushing forward.
Who's here for Bagel Guy, who's out, hungry, but dead. Oh, and that is a wasted ultimate if I've ever seen one. Oh my god, and there we go. What is this nonsense?
Nah, John Hawks is on my side. Big bully.
Say that real slow.
Big bully.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another incredible match going down here at the Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims. Eclipse versus AYAYA, first seed versus third seed in the Blackwatch division. AYAYA currently up 2-0, underdogs in this match, currently leading the pack right now in this series. As we go into the second half, I'm your play-by-play for the evening, Captain Jack, joined by Megalas on the color roll tonight. Megalas, you want to go ahead and give us a recap of what we saw in the first half?
I mean, we saw these two teams battling it out extremely close, going all 3 points on Lijiang first, with 2 of those points going 99 to 100%. And then going into our next map, of course, being Volskaya Industries, it was close, but at the end, the slight time bank that AYAYA had was enough for them to secure that map. But overall, I mean, everybody's been playing to what I believe their peak is. It's just AYAYA somehow edging out these fights just when they really even shouldn't. So it's very interesting to see.
It definitely is interesting to see. And of course, for Hybrid, we're going to go to the same map we always do. I don't even know why Blizzard even creates other maps, because it really doesn't matter. Kings Row.
Could you imagine, right? Just for a moment.
If they just
Blizzard
deleted all the other maps and just left it as Kings Row.
If they came out was just like, all right, so it's our first new map in a while, and they just released Kings Row again.
I would not be surprised. I literally would not be surprised.
People would
they would be like, oh, cool, look at all the changes. And literally they didn't change like a single thing on the map.
They made it daytime instead.
I know, right? They made it similar to what you see during the, what's it called?
Uprising event.
Well, no, it's not called Uprising anymore. The Archives event, that's right. Literally, that would be the only change that they made to this thing.
Hey, if it means if that's what it would take for Torbjorn to get played on Kings Row, I'm all for it.
I mean, I don't think that would guarantee that Torbjorn would get played on Kings Row.
Yeah, people would see the daytime. They'd be like, oh, we have to play this like Archives. They'd just pick Torbjorn.
Maybe that change in light is really what it would take. It definitely would be interesting, because that's the only event that actually changes between the night and the day, which I find very interesting. Well, no, I guess that's untrue, because Rialto is during the daytime, but yet the event is during the night. Huh.
And I mean, you also have the changes to Blizzard World reflect day and nighttime, so...
Really?
Yeah, the holiday Blizzard World is taking place at night.
Really? I never noticed that, but of course I wouldn't notice that.
Nobody played Blizzard World.
Play Blizzard World! Or they would put it in the competitive map pool. Like,
what's Blizzard World? We only know Kings Row, Kings Row, and Kings Row. Speaking of Kings Row, we have some compositions coming out here. May is to be expected, and Xerox picking the Doomfist yet again. Kind of confident with this pick.
All right, seeing a lot of love in the chat right now, looking to see if they can bring it back. With all that love in the chat, I'm really interested to see it come down. Antinade going into the backline already allows Brimos to get the double onto Tank Monkey and Lyrule. Xerox is able to take out Stealth in return, but will end up paying for their lives against Koalas. 3 minutes 30 seconds on the clock, and as they're preparing for another push.
And I just gotta say, Brimos has been playing absolutely out of their mind this entire series. Phenomenal, knowing when to shield and knowing when to swing that hammer. It's something a lot of Reinhardt struggled to master, but Brimos seems to have it pretty down pat. And also, those big shatters are always a plus.
All right, we see the tackle come in, ends up getting counter-tackled. Eternal able to get that pick onto Brimo, separated out from the rest of the team as we go ahead and see Dank and Eternal moving their way in, getting pick after pick right now. The only ones that are really able to escape are both Amara and I Like Koalas, who use their abilities to go ahead and get the heck out of there. We're going to see 2.5 minutes added to the clock with 5 minutes 15 seconds brought onto the time bank so that they can work their way in. Xerox already getting the first pick onto I Like Koalas, and it is just a madhouse right now. We literally have AYAYA putting Eclipse on their heels.
And I mean, it's just that phenomenal play once more. going back to when they were unlocking the point, base boosted pretty much drew all of the enemy fire, went into the backline of Eclipse, and allowed the team to really just collapse and gain advantages. Now moving forward here, we're seeing Xerox being that distraction with... But the right is walled!
Oh, but so is the other right! The Maywall's making a maze, but Stealth able to take advantage of that, gets the double kill, despite the fact that they ended up, well actually no, they didn't end up losing Brimos there. In the end, we see the Maywall looking to try to separate out Brimos once again, will end up being unsuccessful as Xerox comes in with the Meteor Strike. We're going to see now base boosted and Eternal getting sought after by Amara's wall and the rest of the team. They'll get those picks and move their way out of the choke of the objective and take control as we see them prepare for another push.
Yes, indeed. Now we're seeing the differences in the compositions here. The Ryan Zarya giving you that damage, not as much damage mitigation obviously, which allows the Ryans to kind of be more aggro. And the wall blocks the shatter!
The wall blocks the shatter, but the Graviton is heavy! Countered with the Blizzard, base boosted, dropping the Diva Bomb, ends up getting the double, as we see, Berkey getting to the high, I don't even know how that ended up happening right there, but they're able to retreat back to the safety of the team. Anti-Nade going down as McBean able to take down Brimos with that base boosted, following up on Berkey. The aggression is high right now for the side of AYAYA as they take objective number 2, 4 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock.
And I think that's really the story of this series. You're seeing the aggression from AYAYA, but it's not being matched by the side of Eclipse, who arguably have the more aggressive composition.
Woo! That's a fat shatter. Blizzard trying to counter, but doesn't manage to get much of anything except for Tank Monkey, who's just sitting there looking like a beautiful frozen statue. They're going to take down the rest of the team as we continue to see Amara trying to hold on, but will end up getting taken down by base boosted in the end. 4 minutes remaining on the clock, and that payload is furiously moving to objective 3.
Yes, indeed. It's not moving as fast as it could have been. You know, they did have to get off it for a moment just to keep the heals up. But going into this final fight, for some reason, Amara switching over to the Pharah, maybe hoping to find some sort of value, just find an answer to what's going on in front of them. But the Diva Bomb!
Yeah, the answer isn't the Diva Bomb right there, though. Does get a pick onto Berkey as Lyrule taking down Brimos in return. McBean taking Amara right out of the sky as the high noon coming out. Stealth picking off Xerox, who I think was trying to get Stealth from behind and ended up missing with that elbow drop. Very unfortunate right there. Shatter coming down from Brimos, gets the double, looking to see if they can clean it up, but the sleep ends up going down onto them. It looks like they're going to go ahead and go for that regroup as base boosted going for that hard reset as well. 3 minutes remaining on the clock with only 5 meters to go.
Now you're seeing Stealth being forced back to spawn, was on Tracer for a moment, has to go back get the McCree because there's just too many things for McCree to have to try to punish here. There was a Doomfist, there was a Diva, now Xerox finally mirroring the McCree matchup, but all is not lost. 2 minutes, 40 seconds counting down from there we have left, and pretty much all of the ults outside Graviton are in the favor of AYAYA here.
Well, it looks like the Blizzard already on the objective, only allows them to push it back in. Anti-Nade coming down, ends up getting the double, but they can't clean it up as Stealth and Amara end up getting those picks. Brimos following up onto the Graviton, gets a double of their own. Looking to get that final pick onto base boosted will be Amara, shooting them right off the side. With 2 minutes on the clock, that is 2 ultimates wasted right there for the side of AYAYA.
And you're finally getting the chance to breathe. If you are Eclipse here, obviously you finally get that defensive hold you're wanting to, maybe a little bit later in the map than a lot of people would like, but you'll take it. And now we see Diva going to the high ground once more to contest this Pharah, just keep her out of the skies, but this barrage could be lethal as the rally engages.
That barrage is going to be huge. Amara working in the backline, ends up taking down McBean as the shield allows them to hold on to the rest of the team. Base boosted will end up taking down Brimos in return, so really taking down that big that big fighter on the objective. Lyrule will end up tackling Amara there at the end as the bubble looking to try to protect Stealth. Will be successful, only ends up getting the D-Mech onto base boosted as Brimos trades out Eternal. Shatter coming in from Brimos, gets one but cannot clean it up. As I Like Wallace coming out with the Coalescence, looking to see if they can hold on. Xerox with the double and the nano, looking to see if they can hold on to the objective. It's a 1v3 fight. Diva Bomb going down on the objective. Less than a minute on the clock. They will grab it with 56 seconds left on the clock. Wow.
You're now in a very unfavorable position if you are the side of Eclipse. Not hopeless, but not favorable, because at least you don't have the added pressure of finishing with time in the bank. You just have to finish King's Row to force overtime rounds. Because of that 56 seconds, everybody's going to get at least reset to a minute. But finishing King's Row, that's not a guarantee. And especially with how on the ropes you've been, how kind of, especially with this last fight, the switches you've made feeling almost random. What's left in the tank, really? What strategies could they have left for the side of Eclipse to try to counter what they're seeing?
I agree, and I think one of the biggest faults that we've honestly been seeing has come out from Amara playing the Pharah. Now, those that know Amara from previous seasons, very good on the Pharah, but has had no support whatsoever this entire match from a Mercy or a similar support that can actually give that healing so that they can stay in the sky. Stealth is going to be coming in on the Pharah this time around with Pika in tow, and I feel like this is going to change things up. This is going to give a lot more support to that air dynamic that they've really been missing to be able to utilize. But again, you've got Xerox, you've got McBean, you've got Base Boosted that can all try to counter this Pharah Mercy in the sky. The question is, will it be enough to divide their attention to get the picks on the ground?
And I mean, they're hopefully going to be able to get these picks on the ground with Berkey going over to the Zarya instead of the Diva. But the issue is Diva just provides so much utility to a team if she's played properly right now. As we see, the Mei walls are coming out. Mei, once again, another hero who's just so impactful just with how she can control the map and truly be a nuisance to any and everyone.
No, I completely agree there. The Mei wall ends up separating out the teams as the tackles come in. Base Boosted ends up getting the double onto both Brimos and Berkey without the main tanks into the fight. The rest of the team is being forced to make their way out of the objective, but it looks like Amara gonna get stuck there in the end on that Mei. Will get taken down and staggered by Dank Monkey. 3 minutes, 15 seconds on the clock.
What's so brutal about this is Base Boosted does not have to get a pick onto Stealth on the Pharah. It just simply has to deter, keep away, because all of a sudden you take the Pharah out of the fight, the Mercy that was then with them, you're fighting a 5v4 for the rest of your team, and 5v4 generally the numbers advantage is enough to win you any fight. Going forward here.
Now see, I think that this change is really smart. Amara now swapping over to the Junkrat for this fight. Fat Shatter coming down from Brimos. The anti-nade coming in to counter, though, is Amara able to take down Dank Monkey. Nano and the Barrage coming in concurrently as Stealth is able to take down Lyrule and waste out that Nano. Xerox will follow up on Stealth in return, but it looks like with that Junkrat Amara has swapped over to, they will end up taking the objective, giving them 4 minutes, 50 seconds on the clock to push into objective number 2.
The Junkrat's able to take such advantage of the fact that Xerox is on McCree here. If it was something like a Widowmaker where high ground would be a lot more of an issue, it's possible the Junkrat wouldn't get as much value. However, there are very few little side routes, I guess you could call them, where a McCree could be hiding once the high ground's given up, as we see the duel on high ground.
Yeah, but ends up getting interrupted by both Stealth and Base Boosted. Amara does end up getting that pick on Xerox in the end, though, as the Fat Shatter goes into the backline, getting the double, as we now see the tire coming out from Amara, ends up getting McBean there in the end, but it is too late. The objective has pretty much already been cleared as they go ahead and regroup for another push. 4 minutes remaining on the clock.
And now we're seeing Xerox match the Pharah in the skies. No mercies to be seen, but essentially just relying on their Honest to hit shots or armor packs And because of how far forward they were able to stop this cart for the side of AYAYA, they're able to give it a little bit of progression as the Blizzard comes in for Eternal.
This is an interesting Blizzard because everyone was already kind of separated out, but they're taking advantage of that separation because the one they ended up losing was Brimos. Their main tank that really could have forwarded that aggression went the exact opposite direction of the rest of the team because they were split by the payload. Ended up costing them the objective for now and a lot of time as the rally comes out.
And they're rallying extremely early. They've got to take advantage of this armor that they're getting, but the Brig is once again walled by herself.
Able to get back to the rest of the team though as they break through. Here comes the Nano Graviton Barrage. They're pouring everything into it, trying to clear out this objective. Pika and Stealth just doing an amazing amount of damage, able to follow up on everyone and anyone that was touching that objective. But was it worth it?
I mean, you just had to invest 3 ultimates to essentially get out of your own spawn. We all know on King's Road, this second point hold right towards the end of it is where you want to hold if you're a defender. It takes so long to get back for the attack. There's so much favorable positioning for you, and this is where their defense is going to be able to fight. This is where AYAYA is going to get their advantage.
And I feel like this is an interesting swap. Berkey back over to the D.Va as the High Noon now coming out for Amara, who swapped over to the McCree while I wasn't looking, apparently. Shatter coming in for either side, but it looks like the one that's going to get the damage is going to be Brimos and the rest of the team, despite the fact that all it ended up hitting there was shield. They're going to go ahead and move their way into objective number 2, giving them about 4 minutes on the clock.
And finally, this is a little bit of breathing room. This is what you want to see for the side of Eclipse. But the issue is not getting staggered out here. It's still a matter of finishing this map. And going into these next fights, you ideally want to fight right here. You want to win this fight and force a maybe drawn out fight as the rally starts from Pika.
Rally coming out, but so does the Blizzard, trying to hold everybody in the objective. They at least end up getting Brimos. Oh, Shatter comes in as well as the D.Va bomb. Double kill as Xerox able to follow up on Brimos, and the D-Mech coming down on Berkey. The double ultimate does allow them to hold the objective just a little bit longer. 2 minutes, 40 seconds on the clock.
The one good thing you could say about that for the side of Eclipse is how much got invested. It was a Blizzard, a Shatter, and a bomb, but there's still so many other ultimates waiting, including the Rally, the High Noon, and McMean to just simply nano anybody and make them a lethal threat in this next fight.
Well, here comes the Rally already trying to negate any of the damage that came in from the anti-nade. Here comes the Nano now as the barrage goes up, ends up pushing up the barrage. Is Eternal with that Maywall D.Va bomb in the backline as they get stunned out. Berkey gets the double kill onto Eternal, and Lyrule as Brimos following up on base boosted with that fire strike. The last one to fall is going to end up being Xerox for that quick reset. 1 minute, 50 seconds on the clock.
And this is now the favorable positioning you're looking for Eclipse. Amara can quite literally be anywhere, and they won't be able to contest them for this Deadeye as they seem to flank, but the Shatter on court!
That Shatter already coming in as Pika coming out with the rally, but Xerox stunning out Amara, coming around the corner with the High Noon. Eternal will follow up onto Brimos as base boosted, taking down Pika as well. With 1 minute, 25 seconds on the clock, they will retake the objective and stop that push.
And now looking forward, Amara just immediately gives up the McCree. I'm not sure if the Deadeye was used, but possibly thinking there's no value in
it got stunned out.
It got stunned out. That's really unfortunate. But the Junkrat is still a great pick here. The damage that can simply rain in, possibly get the main tank caught. But
Berkey gets the Blizzard Aiden by Berkey as we see the Nano coming in on Brimos, getting frozen out by Eternal over and over again, ends up essentially wasting the Nano. Shatter comes in though as Lyrule was not there to shield it. Stealth and Pika able to follow up on picks as the D.Va bomb coming down for base boosted, comes back in with, oh no, gets taken out before they can remech by Amara as Lyrule follows up onto Pika. They're pushing their way in, 30 seconds remaining on the clock as Stealth takes down Xerox before the Deadeye can be used. Maywall going up right now as Eternal ends up falling to Stealth right before the barrage gets used. Lyrule will fire strike Stealth right out of the sky. It is a 4v4 on the objective right now. Diva Bomb going up for Berkey, looking to see if they can get that pick. Will be unsuccessful as Base Boosted and Xerox trading Amara and Berkey off the objective. Is a 2v4 fight right now as Xerox cleaning up anyone and everyone that could possibly touch, and that is it. AYAYA, in the briefest of time, will take away the victory as the underdogs going into these playoffs, away from the mouth of Eclipse, being our Black Watch divisional champions of Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims Season 2.
I mean, it was just so close, but that last fight, it got extended out to the point where there was no time left for a re-engage. They essentially won to come around the second corner of third with about 45 seconds on the clock, but through just constant stall, AYAYA was able to slowly claw it back, and by the time a fight was won, it was just too late. There was no time left.
All right, so we're checking with the teams to see if they want to play out the last map. Apparently, that was done earlier in the playoffs this week, so we're giving them the choice. It looks like Eclipse has already lost a member, unfortunately. So it looks like we are not playing out the last match, and honestly. As much as I'm sure Eclipse was hard fought, I'd be a little salty after this match too. So, in an amazing turn of events, like all the numbers against them, AYAYA will walk away as the victors of the Black Watch division here in Season 2 for Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims. Put out your players of the match in the chat now. I see people are literally already doing it as we go ahead and prepare our own players of the matches this evening. Megalas, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
See, normally it's so not easy, but it's rather able to kind of pick between 2 or 3 players. The side of AYAYA as a team just played so phenomenally well that it's impossible for me to really pick somebody. If I had to narrow it down to just one person, I'd say DPS play is what's kind of making the impact right now. And starting off with the Sombra, then going over to the Mei later in the series, Eternal was just an absolute tool for the team. The walls were coming in perfect. On the Sombra, the hacks were divine, truly giving them every single escalation. And I mean, truly, it needs to be stated that the rest of the team played around it so well. So it's not just one person, it's really the team as a whole.
I agree with you there, but I feel like I gotta, despite the fact that both Xerox and Eternal, as DPS, getting a lot of picks, I think I gotta give a lot of love to Base Boosted. Playing the Diva pretty much all night this evening, very rarely walked away from a Diva Bomb without getting a couple of picks. Incredibly well defensive, chasing down targets that they know that they could get, as well as being able to return back to the team and safely defend everyone. Diving on their own backline to be able to prevent anyone that was looking to try to take out the healers. Super effective. So Base Boosted, you're walking away with my player of the match this evening, as well as quite a few in the chat right now. Kazume giving their love to Lyrule on the main tank, as well as Hammer and Volatile and Husky the Elf. Lots of love out there for Lyrule and Base Boosted right now. McBean giving themselves player of the match, and I gotta say, the Battle of the Honest tonight was huge when it came between Eclipse and AYAYA. Just those anti-nades continuously being on point. Very rarely did you not see one team anti-naded that the other team wasn't also anti-naded. So it was almost like complete mirror every time we ended up seeing that go down. Lots of love for McBean, Base Boosted, and Lyrule, but AYAYA as a whole walking away the champions this evening. But don't worry, folks. We have got way more stuff going on for you this week. On Thursday the 20th, we'll be seeing the finals in the Deadlock division between Boomers and Earth, Wind, and Pharah. Saturday evening, the 22nd, we'll be seeing the finals in the Shimada clan with Monarch versus Frost. And then next week, we'll be going into our all-star lineup, which I believe, I got to look back. I think the announcement has the schedule. Here we go. So for All-Stars Week, on February the 24th, we will have a Masters exhibition game, which will be Cyanide versus Budget Goblins. I'm not for certain who those two teams are, but maybe they've been our Masters teams, just kind of waiting in the wings for their opportunity to play. Wednesday, February 26th, we'll have a community 3v3 tournament, as well as Thursday night having a Widow tournament, Widow free-for-all tournament, I believe. Or no, sorry, the format hasn't been announced just yet. Friday, as always, will be our community night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the last day of February, Saturday the 29th, we will be seeing the Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims All-Star game that will finish up Season 2. So be sure to pay attention for all those matches, or if you want to make it easy on yourself, just punch that bell. Just punch it until it dings no more, so it just lets you know every time that we're online. You can also hit that sub button and that heart. $4.99 or Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime subscription will give you access to emotes and support our awesome community so we can do more cool stuff. So with all of that being said, I think we're done for the evening. It was an incredible match. It totally blindsided me by what I expected to see tonight. Anything else you want to put out there, Megalas?
I would like to say that because this is my first prediction, I guess, with me saying that it was going to be a 3-0 in favor of the third seed, I guess I'm a 100% prediction rate here at the OCC. So,
oh man, coming in and setting the bar high.
Truly educated guesses, of course, but I mean, yeah, it was just great playing. I can't wait to see more, as you said, Thursday with the other finals, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to it all.
Alrighty, I do want to give a special thank you to Nova Vixen, our producer for the evening, doing an incredible job helping us out with that. That is it for us here at the Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims. I'm Captain Jack.
And I am Megalas.
And we will see y'all next time.